Hello my fellow freedom builders and welcome back to the channel. Now in this aftermath of the different bank crashes and bank crises potentially here, I'll give you a short little video showing that some of this might have been predicted, or it could have been predicted. Now, many of you know, if you have followed me for a while, that I do quite a lot of what is called technical analysis. There's no fancy part to it. I'm not trying to predict the future. I'm basically just looking at a graph, trying to figure out what are the big guys in the market doing. And I have picked 5 banks here, and I'm sure you've heard of them in the last few weeks here. The first of them is, of course, the Silicon Valley bank here, the one that really started it all. There was, of course, the Silvergate, but that was a bit more crypto related. We'll have a look at that later. But what I am doing, and I'll just give you a very quick crash course here because it doesn't have to take forever to learn. What I'm looking at is on a weekly chart here, are we seeing some higher tops here, some higher highs and some higher bottoms? And when I can see some major levels here being broken, I assume, especially if it's one of the larger stocks where it takes quite a lot of volume on a day-to-day basis to move this on a weekly chart, then I start to look for entries. Now, I'll not go into specific details here, but I can tell you that this indicator down here is one that I've made for my Danish subscribers, the Danish members. It is showing basically just if the RSI is above 50 and if the relative strength of the stock is good and strong, meaning does it perform better than the underlying market. And when this turns green, I know that I can start looking for some entries on my daily chart, which means that the Svb Financial Group here, I could start looking for some entries down here in the area of the 250 to 280. Now, I'm not making this video to be some smart ass back looking investor here, just trying to say that I would have timed the exact bottom and the exact top, because I don't. I never get in at the bottom and I never get out at the top. It would be nice though, just making something like 500% here on the SVB bank. But my point here is more that when I read in the media here that people are surprised, they didn't see this coming, it was a big surprise with the SVB. Well, my answer is mostly, why didn't you look at a chart? Because basically no matter what you're doing with technical analysis, you could have drawn a trend line here. That was broken. You could have drawn a bottom area here. That was broken. You could have waited until that was tested here. It was tested here and sent downwards. No matter what method you were using. And I'm not talking indicators here. Of course, you could have looked at this red, yellow and green indicator down here. You would have been sent out here. Basically a bit before maybe on a daily chart. But you wouldn't have been in this stock since January 22, meaning more than a year you would have been out, because you would have been sent out somewhere in the area of 600. And well, yes, it is terrible what has happened over the last weeks here, but basically looking at a simple chart, then someone knew something was wrong. I'm not talking about some sketchy insider trading. I'm talking about good, solid analysts sitting out there saying, there's something not right about this. It could be something on the balance sheet. It could be something in the risk department. I don't know what. So it's not someone telling some mother and his sister that they should sell and then that spreads out. This is just basic, simple analysis from the big guys and they started selling up here and you would have been out of this. So in my opinion, and there might be different opinions here, in my opinion, the technical analysis is not about predicting the future, because selling here, the SVB could have turned up and got straight up and you would have to re-enter again somewhere here and then be losing a lot of upside here. In my opinion, technical analysis is just a matter of controlling your risk and staying out of the huge losers, because when I look at my normal broker statement, there are some huge winners and there are some small winners and there are some small losers, but there are no huge losers. And that is, in my opinion, the entire, you could say, secret to technical analysis and to investing, and that is to weed out the huge losers. If you can do that, then you are quite a good way onto becoming long-term profitable. Let's have a look at the First Republic Bank. Well, I think you can see that the pattern is basically the same here. Somewhere here, no matter how we draw them, I draw them a bit sloppy right now, but you would have gotten out of First Republic Bank somewhere up here in the 180, 190 area, and then all of a sudden, to a big surprise to everyone, now in the pre-market today, it's down to $19. I suspect this has something to do with the fact that the Credit Suisse that we are going to have a look at here at the last year, that the Credit Suisse were bought by the other Swiss bank, UBS, for an insanely low amount. And, well, that's an entirely other story. I'll take that in my weekly wrap-up on Friday. But just to show you here that no one using simply technical analysis on a weekly chart would be surprised, or maybe surprised, but they would not be in this trade. There were so many chances of getting out. There was an area here that was respected. There was an area here that was respected. And every single time you could have gotten out. And if you were a bit more aggressive, you might even have shorted it. Signature Bank. Okay, another quote-unquote big surprise. Yeah, well, not if you were looking at the chart. It was not. It was very, very clear that it started to make a top formation here, making lower bottoms here. And again, I'm not talking about some dodgy, I can predict the market, I have a crystal ball, I can... No, this is just having a look at when are the big guys collapsing the prices here. When are they going out? And again, it could have turned here and got straight up, and then I would have lost some upside. Definitely, that is one of the prices of this game. All right, we have the Silvergate. Yeah, well, not much of a surprise here. It would have been nice knowing this up from around 240, of course, because right now it's selling at 2. And this one, you could say this is a bit more interesting, a bit harder, because before it really starts to make some lower bottoms here, we are actually down here and it is almost cut in half. So that is why I'm not trading from a weekly chart. I am actually trading from a daily chart, and sometimes in some really rare instances, and we saw that with some of the EV stocks and so on, I sometimes drop down to a 4-hour or 1 hour chart. But that is mostly if I have a stock that simply just goes completely ballistic here, and sometimes gets so far away from the moving averages that before it goes down here starts to digest these here and starts to move lower. Sometimes I lose 80% of my profit. So here I would probably have gotten out. It's hard to say. It's all in looking backwards here in the rear view mirror, but somewhere around in the 150 area, which would have been annoying if it had been up here, of course, but I would definitely not have taken the trip down to 2. All right, last one here, Credit Suisse, and that is a bit of a special case here, because if you have been reading a bit up on Credit Suisse, you would know that that has been a pile of dog shit for kind of forever. There have been several times where you could make some decent money in an uptrend, or at least get out and break even. But basically this shows that since what, 07, 06, somewhere here, no one has really built this up, building new higher tops, new higher bottoms. There have been some indications here, but as you can see, I put a red dot every time my indicator here goes red after a period of green. Here, here, here. Actually, this one was here. So don't come here complaining and saying, I didn't know, I bought it at 48.44, which someone must have done, and now it is trading at 82 cents. There have been so many technical warnings here. And then again, I have, of course, picked 5 stocks here that showed some nice downwards movement. We could have looked at something like, I suspect, this one, which is a bit more messy, the Goldman Sachs Group, because all of the banks are being pushed down by this entire banking issue here. And you could say that on the Goldman Sachs Group, you might have, depending on the daily chart, of course, but you might have been pushed out of the bank here, might have been on a good steep ride here, being pushed out here around the 340, and then you might actually have come into the stock again in 350, being pushed out around 330. But that is the price using this technical analysis approach, this momentum, trend following, whatever you call it. That is the price that sometimes you get in to a trending stocks. I'm not certain I would have gotten into this, but let's just say for the sake of it that I would here. Gotten in at 350 or 360 and saying, all right, this is a nice good trend. I would probably have looked towards when we have multiple tops up here. I'm not too happy buying into these, and I am normally, and you know that if you have followed me for a while, waiting for something like this. That means that I'm losing a lot of upside. I could have gone in here around 360, but now I got in at 420. Well, that doesn't really matter too much, because when things move, as you can see here, you could, there was a bottom here around 70, and you could say around 140. Oh no, it has already gone up 100%. I don't want to buy this. And then it went to what, 400. So if you're in an uptrend, you never know how far it's going to run. I'm just normally not buying into. I don't care about a single top like this, but if we see 2 or 3 tops in a row here that is respected and sent downwards, I normally wait until we see some sort of bounce here. But that is because I'm extremely conservative, and that's why I doubt I would have been into this. But even if I would have gotten out around here in the 330, 20 area. No one knows where this is going. This could go to 100. It could turn straight up and go to 1,000. If someone tries to convince you that they know exactly where this is going, they are full of shit. Sorry to say so. This is just a game where we're trying to follow the big guys, and if we succeed in doing that, most of the times we can actually make some decent money. So that was a quick look at these banks that have been hit down. As you can see, I wouldn't say that I am surprised or not surprised, because I could never have guessed this banking crisis. However, we are seeing some of the big analysis, some of the big houses, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley and so on, they have been out giving buy recommendations to some of these all the way down here. Also, the Kramer show said just a few weeks ago that this was a fantastic buy. It was one of the best. Both the SVB and the First Republic got huge recommendations from Kramer. So, yeah, well, if I had heard him say that, I would have looked it up in a chart and say, nah, I think I'll wait until I start making some real obvious new higher tops and higher bottoms. That's about it. I hope it makes sense. Otherwise, please write me a note under the video. Take care of yourself and your money out there. That's all for now. Bye.